What is going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for another Nick at Night, my weekly non-spoiler comic book review show. I read all these books this week. I'm going to tell you what I thought about them next, so you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to Nick at Night. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. We are about to get into this week's books. There wasn't a whole lot that I picked up this week, but a lot of them were really interesting. So I loved the majority of the books that we got. So let's get into it right now. Starting over in Marvel, we have a slew of creators on this book for Elektra number 100. It's really like her 100th appearance is what I'm gathering. So if you go in this book and flip towards the middle, it actually goes through the 100 cover gallery, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a few pages of all the different covers that she's on. You know, she had her own run there for a while as well. So it kind of goes over all the different covers on there. So I thought that was a pretty cool little add to this anniversary issue. So what about the story? What can you expect in here? The majority of this book is a story about Elektra hunting down Bloody Mary, or Typhoid Mary's kind of like alter ego. You know, she's got a lot of different alter egos. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The art in that particular area is great. So we do get a cool little battle. Does it really change anything we know about the current state of these characters? Maybe not, but if you're not really quite familiar with the characters, I think it's going to do a great job of kind of providing a little bit more extra context to them, which I certainly appreciated. So again, the majority of this book is going to be this big, long battle with them trying to like understand each other. And you do learn a lot about the characters, which I thought was great. And again, the art's pretty solid in that one. There is a couple backup stories in here. There's a little bit of Daredevil action. Pretty short, a few different panels. It's very charming. It's very fun. It's playful. And there's really not a whole lot that goes on. And then towards the end, they do have a few pages of like Sunday morning paper, cartoon strips in here. Some of them are modeled after some pretty familiar cartoons that are out right now, or have been out in that Sunday paper forever. So it did add a little bit of levity and some humor towards the end, which I thought was pretty cool. So overall, you know, it really wasn't Elektra centered. Of course, she's in all the stories, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. But I didn't dislike the book at all. I thought it was pretty cool. It just didn't really quite fit the bill for the 100th issue. I thought maybe we'd get something else, something more about her origin or something more personal about her. But we got some pretty cool little short stories in here, some little one-offs, and I definitely didn't hate it, but maybe it didn't quite fit the 100 anniversary mold that I was expecting. But either way, it was pretty solid. Another Marvel book we read this week was X-Men issue number 10, and I really enjoyed this one because it touched base on a lot of different things at once, and it felt like it moved the story forward here and there. I will say that they did some stealth buffs to certain characters in this book, which I thought was pretty interesting. We do have a lot of X-23 in this issue, so if you like that Wolverine, then you're really going to love this. Some of the characters she interacts with, some of the battles that she has, she goes head to head with Deathstrike, so if you really like that character or wonder where that character's been, we do see that character in here, and the battle is pretty brutal. It does have like some House of X, Powers of X kind of vibes in here. The art style is really great. I do like what's going on with the art in this book. And again, the vibe and the feel in this issue in particular kind of brings me back, kind of got me a little bit more excited about the main X-Men run. We've had a couple new number ones that hit the stands just recently. Didn't blow me away, but then again, I'm still kind of getting into this world a little bit more. This style, this feel that they put in this book kind of reminded me of more like the Hickman stuff, which got me a little bit more excited overall. We did touch base with several different people in this book. And so, you know, we kind of shortened some storylines that maybe I wanted to explore more in this issue by using some panels and pages to kind of touch base with other folks. But, you know, at the end of it, you know, everybody kind of needs their little fair shake. And then at the very end, we do get an awesome cameo for a character that I haven't seen in a long time in any of the books that I've been reading. So I am excited for that. So issue number 10 of X-Men definitely increased my interest overall in the main X-Men run. And so we were going to definitely continue reading this one. X-Men number 10. pretty solid. Moving on to Rom V and Brian Hitch. I don't believe Al Ewing was in this one, but let me double check the credits just before we get into this. So Rom V is still the writer for this one. It is Dylan based. This is Venom number 7. So we're still exploring Dylan. He's hanging out with some of the biker gangs right now. He's trying to do some protecting. There's some gang wars or some biker wars going on right now. And so he's in the area, and Bedlam is on the prowl. So we do get a pretty awesome battle from Bedlam right here against the Dylanized Venom, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some pretty cool things there. We learn about how exactly powerful Bedlam is in this issue. I would still say this is suffering from all the same things that I've been talking about week after week after week or month after month, which is Brian Hitch's art and basically the story they're trying to tell here. So I'm not a big fan of Brian Hitch's art. I feel like it's real flat on the page. There's not a lot of 3 dimension to it. There's a lot of like glossy coloring and things like that. And I'm just not a fan of that kind of style. It works from time to time. Maybe it worked in other runs. It's just not doing it for me in this particular run. And I don't think I care about really anything about Dylan hanging out with some biker gangs. Don't really care. I know there's a bigger narrative they're trying to paint here, but it just hasn't been working for me yet. This is probably my least favorite Marvel book at the moment, but I'm picking it up because the creative team should be solid on anything. I'm just waiting for that to kind of catch up to the storyline itself. So we're going to keep going with Venom. I did enjoy Carnage, which came out a little while ago, and I did like Venom Lethal Protector. So it's not the characters, it's just how they're being portrayed and how they're being drawn right now. So yeah, that's my overall opinion on Venom. Nothing's really changed since issue number 1. I'm hoping it picks up in that department though, but we'll see where it goes. So that was it with Marvel. We're going to go over into DC Comics next, starting off with a new number 1 from James Tynion IV, Sandman Universe Nightmare Country number 1. If you are familiar with James Tynion on Nice House on the Lake or in his Department of Truth run, you're going to see the same kinds of vibes, the same kind of storytelling, and the way that he kind of approaches just weird, crazy psychedelic stuff. You're going to see that in this book as well. So this book is also new reader friendly for the Sandman universe, in my opinion. We get some heavy dialogue in the beginning, kind of setting the stage. And then throughout the middle, we do explore who these weird people in the Sandman universe are and what they're exactly after in this mortal world, right? So it is pretty interesting. Of course, it's gruesome, it's violent, it's weird. We're going to be diving into a lot of different weird characters as this expands out, but I will say that this book was pretty interesting. It definitely piqued my interest for the upcoming runs as well. If you enjoyed James Tynion's work over in Department of Truth and in Nice House on the Lake, I think this book will be right up your alley. Even if you're new to the Sandman universe, check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty crazy. It is weird, but it's a great read. The next book from DC is Flashpoint Beyond issue number 0 from Jeff Johns. And that's right, we are back in the Flashpoint universe with Thomas Wayne. And Thomas is kind of suffering from like a House of M Wolverine kind of thing where he remembers that things aren't the way they should be, that he shouldn't exist. The other things happened. He was killed by Darkseid, and this universe just shouldn't exist. It should be erased. But yet, here he is. So he's trying to get other people on board. He's trying to talk to other people, trying to see if he's the only one that remembers. Pretty crazy stuff goes on in here. He gets pretty desperate, trying to force some things to happen so he can kind of undo what happened over here. We do get a hint from one of Thomas's battles about how this could be happening, and it's going to be pretty interesting. There's some deep cuts in here with the Time Masters and things like that. Dr. Hunter's back and all this crazy stuff. So if you're into the DC lore, especially the Time Travelers and things like that, the Time Masters, that whole group, this is going to be a pretty interesting run for you. And if you love Flashpoint and everything, I would jump into this. I will say, if you're relatively new to this, maybe watch that Flashpoint Paradox movie, the animated movie that came out. You don't really have to read a whole lot of comics. The one that came out the previous week, I think it was Batman Night of Vengeance number 1, I believe. That one will help set the stage for this one. So if you're relatively new to Flashpoint, maybe do a little bit of research before jumping into this, because you'll just be completely lost. So it's not a great place for new readers if you're not familiar with Flashpoint, but it's really fun if you are, and there's a lot of deep cuts and Easter eggs and things like that in this one. So I would recommend it for old readers, and if you're a new reader, you might want to do some research first. So that's it with the big two. We're going to jump over into some indie books next. We're going to go into Image Comics with A Town Called Terror #1. I saw this on the stand and I said, that's a pretty cool cover. Let's jump into this. This is from Steve Niles and really brilliant artwork in here. Really great usage of full pages like this right here. Lots of these kinds of things going on. The paneling is pretty interesting, but they do make good use of these full pages right here. And so basically the premise here is, from what I can understand, there's this hidden monstrous town. I think it's called Terror Town, if I'm not mistaken, kind of overlaid, kind of hidden in the real world. And it's run by some just awful people that are like demonized or whatever. One of the main demon's son did escape at one point. He's trying to live a normal life, but things just keep kind of dragging him back into this hell that has been created over here. And so we're trying to understand all the rules of the different worlds and things like that, who the different key players are, and what they exactly want with this guy. So again, the art is really nice in this book. Again, the composition, the layouts, the paneling, really, really unique. I can't really think of anything I've seen before that is like this. I would say story-wise, it reads very, very quickly. It ends somewhat abruptly. It feels a little bit shorter, but I don't think the page quantity is actually less than normal. I think they just have a lot of different moments where they utilize the art to tell the story. So when you're reading this book, if you pick it up, kind of slow down and appreciate the artwork and let that kind of help tell the story as well. Don't just skip past it because there's no narration or speech or anything like that. And I think that will help push this book forward a little bit. Again, it's gorgeous, interesting premise. They don't give you a whole lot in the beginning, but they give you enough for you to kind of be curious about issue #2. So that's what it did for me. I'll definitely be picking up issue #2. This is A Town Called Terror. It's a pretty good book. All right, the next Image book is Rain, issue #4 from David M. Boer. And kind of like Venom, I think that this book has the same strength and weaknesses as its issue 1, 2, and 3. We have a interesting story. We got interesting characters. We have many layers of like danger and worry that we have to get through. Not only is the rain literally killing people and it's wiped out like half the population already, and our main character here has to kind of like traverse this to get to her old girlfriend's father's house to make sure he's okay, things like that. But it's got like this other layer of like humanity and what it's like to be in a same-sex relationship and the kind of things you have to go through and the way that people perceive them. So that was a really interesting point as well in here. Again, I think we're gonna need issue #5 to come out and kind of show how this story is going to conclude before I can really kind of break this down and see if it was a great beginning, middle, and end. Again, it's a really nice book. If you like Walking Dead, it's got like those kind of vibes to it where basically, towns are demolished. It's not safe to go out. There's just crazy people everywhere taking advantage of people left and right. And so there's a lot of that like hopelessness and like always having to watch your back elements in this book, which I think is cool. The art style is very unique. I haven't seen anything like this before, so that has a lot of that going for it. But again, I think we're going to need issue #5 to really kind of show us what this whole story was all about. And so I think reading the solicitation, we are going to get some answers, I believe. But if that's the last issue, we're going to get all the answers and wrap all this up in one issue. I don't know. If there's another issue 6, if it keeps going after that, let me know down below in the comments, but I can't find issue 6 for this series yet. Or maybe there's going to be a volume 2. Who knows? Rain #4, not bad. We'll see how 5 ends it, though. Last Image book this week was Nocterra, issue #9. And man, this one was packed full of craziness. I did really enjoy this issue. Probably one of my favorite Nocterra issues in a long time. Definitely since we kind of came back from that break, which I think we got back out of back in March, I believe. Not entirely sure. But we have Blacktop Bill on the main team, which is awesome. I love when the villain joins the group of good guys. It's like the whole Negan and Walking Dead thing. I know I use that kind of reference a lot, but that's exactly what's going on here again. You have this ruthless killer joining the guys, all the good guys, kind of giving up some of the secrets because he knows in order for him to survive, he needs to play along a little bit. But he's not done trying to like poison the innocence of all the good people in this team, which I think is great. He picks up on the people that are susceptible to this kind of influence, and he kind of leans in on them a lot, which I do like. There's a lot of cool conversations that happen in here, lots of explosions, lots of battles. I am excited to see where this one goes. It seems like they're heading towards the end. They have the goal in mind and they're heading towards that goal right now. So I don't know how long this run is actually going to go. I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon. I don't know if it's an ongoing. That will be an interesting thing to see, but I did really enjoy this issue. This was fun. The art's crazy. Lots of great battles. We get a lot of monsters in here, but man, the one-on-one moments with Blacktop Bill and the other characters, that's the golden stuff in this one. So I am excited to see this going forward. And we get a cool little glimpse of what is this, 8 Billion Genies, the new book coming out from Charles Scholl. So that's actually in the back here. You don't see a whole lot, but you do get the little hint of what the art style is. So Nocterra number 9, definitely kicking it up a notch. Probably one of my favorite Nocterra books in a long time. And the last book I read this week was All Guts, No Glory, issue number 3 from Zenescope. And man, I'm telling you, this is just one of those books I bought because it was just such a fun premise. The art was great. It's only 3 issues, so it wasn't a huge commitment. Oversized issue, price did reflect that, so I had to take that in consideration as well. But I don't think that you'll be disappointed if you pick this up. Again, the basic premise is there are monster hunters out there. There's a whole team, very cliched team, you know. And there's also a cleanup crew. When that team goes in and wipes out all the monsters, there's zombies, ogres, whatever, vampires. There's a cleanup crew that comes in there and scoops up the guts. That's who our main characters are. Young guy in high school, older, mysterious, retired kind of a guy as well, teaming up with him. We learn a whole lot about his backstory, how he got where he was. We learn a lot about this kid. We come into some monsters that they try to help out because they were turned innocently. You know what I mean? So it was really, really interesting to see this book and how it developed. It had like a really weird, kind of like cheesy villain in here, but there's a lot of like other types of villains in this book, which made it really interesting. It did remain pretty grounded with this high school kid in here and all the different problems, the school dynamic and the family dynamics and all that drama that can go on when you're that age, mixed in with him being essentially having to become a monster hunter and having to protect this girl that he meets. Very, very interesting book. I highly recommend it. If you can find issue number 1 and 2, pick up number 3 as well. It's only 3 issues. Who knows if there'll be a second volume. I'm satisfied though. So All Guts, No Glory issue number 3, one of my favorite like sleeper hits for sure. So guys, that's what I read this week and that's what I thought about it. Let me know down below in the comments what your favorite books of the week were. And as always, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos. I really do appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the comments.